Yo, yo, check, check. Sounds good. Never been on here before, so testing to see if it works. Cool. Chives, how's it going? Nice. You can hear me. Perfect. Not usually on desk at this time of the day, so I was standing here and a bit bored and thought I would pop on and see what's up. Maybe do a live watch list going into close as well. Do some research and stuff and look at some names. I had a few trades here today. Couple winners, couple losers. Can look at those first. Anything you guys are watching or names that you want to talk about, I will keep an eye on the chat and look. We had SGLY here today. One of those China names that was getting locked up got wrecked today. Seems like they're getting harder and harder to nail. Where like the like stuff like EJH a while ago, I think was the last one I actually like really captured back here, because you get that let me just close my other window here, because you get the week open, but you get a few pops along the way and then steady selling pressure on the way down, and stuff like SGLY is just so illiquid and choppy. What was the other one? We had BYU yesterday that just halted and then gapped all the way down. So they're getting harder and harder to nail. Just make sure that's still okay. I'm going to watch this back after and see what kind of issues I ran into. Trades from today, I had a loser off the open on CNFR. Was from the watch list last night. I was looking for basically exactly what it did, flat open and a shove into this looking left area. And I had put some on and it reclaimed that trading range, so I moved on, stopped out for a 5-cent loser there. It came up and retested its prior daily highs, and volume starting to dry up, so I'll be keeping this one on watch in the coming days to see if it wants to break out of that 180s. What was my other one? FFIE. Good concept here to go over. In the looking left parabolic yesterday, and we got that retest, this red line here in the 640s. We got that retest here, and then this filled fall through level here off the 620s. And once pop started failing, I was leaning some and covering flushes, and I did not have it on my main chart here off of open. So I missed this retest, and then it was straight down, so my risk reward was kind of shot at that point. But nice little concept, the same thing as that serve I went over in my watch list a few days ago. Back on this 10 parabolic and retest, if you remember. You got that daily breakdown level retest and then failed fall through momentum. And FFIE did that same concept there today. What else? ASTS, barely even worth mentioning. This was just a placeholder, and it wasn't breaking down and holding under key levels. So this was the smallest loser, didn't really amount to much. I was looking at this IVP here late day, this afternoon high at daybreak. It has this a bit of overhead resistance. There we go. It had this bit of overhead resistance, history of multi-day runs, and coming off of this massive fade, having a first green day on increased volume, holding trend here into close. It was just a bit choppy the way that it got there, where you'd get these pushes and met with like a complete round trip of that move. So once it started building back, I was just worried about rug pulls. And yeah, I just decent little setup if it was something else or trading a bit cleaner. But yeah, didn't trade that one. Wheeler, massive parabolic here. This one doing the same kind of setup as IVP, where it was a recent runner, huge fader, and then bouncing off the lows, little backside first green day. So IVP and Wheeler will be keeping on watch for trades down the road. WISA, this one doing the little T+1 shuffle. Big first day move, heavily shorted name, inside day, and then see where we're at tomorrow, if it's going to give up this trend and start failing, or if it's going to start to build 3+ and get that secondary breakout. I like to go to higher time frames here and look where the volume profile is sitting, and give me an idea of where longs are bagged, where shorts are bagged, who's in control. And you can see the biggest volume is right here around 250, which is right where it's sitting around. So I would expect this thing to go sideways into close and then pick a direction tomorrow, whether it wants to break down or break out, basically using today's channel as a guide for tomorrow. What else? Let's look at the scanner. I use the Investors Underground intraday scanner. Let me see here. Might be able to show it, I'm not sure. Also don't want to throw up a bunch of other information. Let me see. If I do this, window capture, IU intraday scanner. Hey, I'm getting the hang of it. What's going on, Franklin? How's it going? What do we got in here? I see some people I recognize from comments section. Chives, Mueras, Kyle, Franklin, Trav. How's it going? So yeah, this is the scanner I keep up. It's just sub 25 and then up 20%, trading decent volume, and then I've got just percent gainers on there. So those East and what was the other one? Hoth were the two gappers. Let me see. Yeah, it's up there. Okay. And then I can change it back to this. Perfect. There we go. Haven't been active in small caps, found an edge in LPing crypto, so I've been trying to exploit that as much as possible. That is German to me, Latin. I have no idea what that means, but if it works, have at it. I got nothing on crypto. I got no idea what that stuff is. Cody and I go back and forth because he's been telling me to buy Bitcoin and whatever for years, and I've never opened up one crypto account. So I'm old school. Stick it in real estate, stick it in long-term ETF, stocks, that stuff. Meme coins providing liquidity. You are wild, sir. You are wild. Yeah, a couple gappers from today. We had East And so far they're doing that little Doji Day 1 setup from Tim Grittani where they gap up, close below the open, and they're still up, was it 40% on the day, I believe. And then you had Hoth doing the same thing. So Grittani's played these as swing shorts in the past. I contemplated it. I just don't really care. Odds favored the gap down tomorrow, but I just rather be cash into tomorrow. What other ones? IVP is on there. APLD, steady grind all day. Same kind of thing, just one big volume day. Overhead resistance way back here. So, ideally this thing gets into this 8 or 9 range on a multi-day run, and then something like this, and then I can react to it. But for now, just letting it do its thing. What else do we have? AAMC I see popping on scan. All these dailies, little bottom bouncers. Not really my style because they're just bouncing back up into resistance. SOAR definitely did not soar today. Got smoked. Overhead resistance here. Curious where volume profile up in that 70s. See where this closing VWAP is right here. And it comes right up into it here in this 70s range. Retests it, and that's the top. So that's those areas I like to use as a guide if they start to fail off of there as a gap up into prior resistance. Last one on there is CNFR. I'm gonna see how that one acts tomorrow. But yeah, not doing too much. Wisa, what's up? Wisa, who said that? It was Travis, I'm assuming. Keep looking over here because my stream sends warning signals. Whatever my bit rate means, whatever that means, no idea. I'm such an idiot. Stick to what you know, right? I'll build you a house and I'll trade you some stocks, and then that's about where my expertise ends. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's about it. Just figured I would run through some names, add a few names to a watch list here. I'll probably end up going through my nightly scan. I usually go through FinViz, and I think that populates at the end of the day, or more accurately at least. So I will probably still throw a video out there later once I'm going through stuff in a bit more detail, and I have not so much to focus on here with the stream going, but yeah, seems like it went fairly well. I don't see too many tech issues or anything, so I think everything's going okay. Anything you guys are watching? Any names you guys traded today, or I could go over, take a look at? Over in the lounge, everybody's talking about Traders for a Cause, football. Not a whole lot of stock talk going on in there, so looks like it's a bit of a slower afternoon. HOTH. Yeah, I touched on that briefly. Daily chart wise, it has a history, like going back to how this name likes to trade, where you get this gap up, fail, gap down day 2. Same kind of thing here, gap up, gap down day 2, all fails. Once they blow out everybody in the morning, it tends to sit back. So I typically don't trade day 1s personally. I let them do their thing and then pick up the pieces on either day 2 or a few days later once a daily structure sets up. But basically, the name of the game on these gappers is avoid the squeeze or survive through that morning action. And usually by midday, afternoon, if the setup is there, it fades off to oblivion. Volume is dead. Like there's nothing bringing this thing back right now. So I think this thing favors a gap down tomorrow. If you've seen Trading Tickers 2 from Tim Grittani, he's got a Doji Day 1 setup. And it's basically a stock that's still up 40% by the close, and it's closing below its opening price that day. There's a few other indicators volume-wise and stuff. But this one I'd say would fit it with a bunch of overhead resistance, and it's still up 52% right now. All this volume here is bagged. So basically anything over 115 to this 130 range is all longs underwater. Hence why all of these pops the rest of the day are fading and failing lower highs. So I would expect this thing to gap down tomorrow basically. XRTX still looks good for a multi-day breakout, just illiquid for now. Intradaily, yeah, setup is there. I think I do recall, I had this on a watch list a few days ago. I think I do recall attempting to put a buy in here around the twos, and it was one of those duly listed companies that it's listed in Canada as well. So Centerpoint Securities doesn't let me trade it. I had that same thing when weed was going nuts, and I wanted to trade ACB, and I just couldn't. So I contacted them, and basically they're working on it, but it's a it's a Canada issue. Like they won't let them do it. So but yeah, I can't trade it, so I'm not really keeping a close eye on it. Typically I take these things off radar once their dollar volume is below like $8 million, and this thing trading 300k a day is definitely not meeting that requirement. But something like this, I could see throwing a price alert here at like 270, 280, and if it ever retests these highs again, if it ever gets to those prices, volume would have to be supporting it on its way there, so you would get that increase in influx in volume. So nothing I'm watching because I can't trade it, but yeah, something like this, I'd set a price alert 270 and set a price alert $2. Basically, if it broke down below 2, I'd completely write it off, and it started building back up over 270s. I'd put it on a closer watch and look for some sort of afternoon trend, kind of like IVP did today, where you'd get like that push into that 270s, consolidate through the day, and then that re-break, and something like that would be an entry on XRTX with just a more ideal daily chart structure, but with that intraday entry. When I did my interview with Anthony, I had talked about how Jack Kellogg explained to me using the daily chart as a way to get a bias, and then an intraday on how to trade it. So stuff like failed fall through momentum setups, like FFIE, like this is like an intraday setup on how to trade it, but my daily setup was a short into resistance because this thing just went on a recent run and had a history of day 2 gap ups and fails. So day 2 gap up with overhead resistance. And then I used the failed fall through setup to gain an entry. So XRTX, big picture wise, XRTX big picture wise, once it's over $3, that's now a multi-day big picture chart breakout. But I'd be using some sort of intraday pattern to get an entry. If that makes sense. Yeah, no problem, Moiras. Some people to talk to makes it a bit easier to run through stuff. Nate's going for a haircut. Usually mean the SPY starts to pull back. Anyone in here going to Traders for a Cause? Out of curiosity? I started going in 2022, and I was always afraid to put myself out there. And once I did it once, now I don't want to miss it, and I've gotten the bug, so now I go to a bunch of the in-person stuff. Yeah, you're welcome, Franklin. Of course, of course. A few years back, yeah. It's a bit more expensive this year, but the value I've gotten out of it, I think, paid for itself over the last few years. Made friends, made contacts, a lot of people I can lean on and share trade ideas and stuff now that have made me money since then. Just got back from a retreat. That sounds bougie. Unfortunately, not this year. Looking for the next, and hopefully meet you in person someday. For sure, for sure. I'll try to, usually once I can get a face and a screen name, I usually remember people fairly well next time I see them. So once I see you in person and connect a face to the name Franklin, other than like a cartoon turtle or something, if I can get a face to Franklin, then I'll likely remember you. Oh, Roland's retreat, yeah. He had asked me to go to that, but I just didn't. It was a bit of a trek for me out to Ohio. I think it was Ohio. I think. I've been to a few of those. I had met Huddy when Sykes came to do a in-person thing. I'm in Vancouver. And when Sykes came to do an in-person thing up here, Huddy was the special guest. And I was like showing up early, like hour and a half early, running over charts, pre-market prep. No one else was there. Huddy was there. And then market would close and everyone was like so eager to get out. They wanted to just leave. But I was so passionate about it. I would stay for 2, 3, 4 hours after the market closed. Just trying to get, little tidbits, whatever I could from Huddy, just showing that I'm putting in work. I had the passion for it. And he gave me his phone number, said, hey, if you're ever in Arizona, hit me up. So a couple months later, I flew down to Arizona and then went into his office and was trading with Roland and Huddy when I was like 4 months into my journey, and trading with some 6-7 figure guys. And that was my start back then. And so Roland and I have been friends for a while now. August, I think, 2019, I believe I met him. And so we've been friends ever since. So anytime he's in Vancouver, or he used to be in Arizona, so I'd meet up with him a little bit. Back in 2020, I was down in Arizona when COVID hit. Right before, I think it was like January or February, we had one of those little in-person boot camps. We rented an Airbnb, all the same sort of retreat thing. The first one he really put on. And we were down in Arizona, and that was when all the vid stocks started going nuts. And like NVAX was down at like, gosh, was it like $5 or something back then? Let's see. $2020, back in February. Down here, yeah, $5. God, lucky with the memory. Pays to be young. But yeah, it was at $5. Went to 300. But we were buying these things. NVAX. What was the other one? Lake. We had bought Lake. APT. We were basically like pulling up names that were putting out the press release of like of the COVID headlines as their company press release, where they'd put like, Novavax, COVID cases, first one seen in Washington in the States, and they would put it out in their PR list. And so then from studying video lessons and stuff from years past, like Lake and APT were mask plays back when the Ebola virus back here, back in 2014. I wasn't trading back then, but guys like Gratani and a few others, Nate, like looking at their older video lessons and stuff that they put out, I had pulled up those names. I had no idea how a pandemic would affect stocks, but I'm like, hey, this Ebola crisis, maybe that's the same thing. And then these names started moving, so we were there like early. That was all at like one of those in-person retreats. It was pretty cool because Roland thrives in like the sector momentum stuff. So to be able to see him get to work when something like that sets up was pretty cool. That's nice. Best way to learn super fast. Yeah, for sure. That's why I like going to Vegas and stuff, for Traders for a Cause, because there's, 250, 300 people that go to those things, and you get connections, and then get to do in-person stuff with guys that you meet, and connections you create. Back in April, I believe, this year, we had there's a Traders for a Cause event in Arizona. Stan from IU, Godfather, Cody, Odd Stock Trader, Greg, LX21, who else? Tim, Taco Money, he was there. We went together. But yeah, there was a bunch of guys down there, and after the event was over, I booked a hotel with Tim, who's a great trader. He's over in IU, but I got to spend some time with him. One sec. I got to spend some time with him, and we got to go back to Greg's house, and we filmed a podcast there on the Traders for a Cause YouTube. I can probably find. We did it in 2 parts because we were there for like a week, and we went go-karting, we went skeet shooting. I had never held a gun before. Alex 21, like a billionaire now. I have no idea. I don't think he's up billions, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 9 figs. We don't really talk P&L when we're with everybody. It's not a typical point of conversation, but he was asking me some real estate questions, because he's having work done on his house and potentially building on a new property and stuff. So he was asking me questions about that because that's where I can provide him value, and then I'm asking him stock related questions because that's where he can provide me value. But he's a super nice guy. It was a lot of fun. Here is, I've got the links here. Let me see. There is part 1, and here is part 2. Throw those in the chat. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Russell was there. Forgot to mention him. He's been a longtime friend of mine now as well. I think back since 2020. I was posting stuff and networking on Twitter during COVID, and posting what they deemed to be good questions, thought out questions. And Russell reached out to me and appreciated the work I was putting in. So I've kept in touch with him over the years, and we've become good friends. He's about triple my age, but you wouldn't guess it by looking at him because he looks like he's like 40. But he's a super good dude. LX21, he doesn't trade anymore. Greg, during COVID and stuff, he was fairly active, and those were breakout years for him. And then he started dialing it down and just trading like the best of the best setups. And now he told me he's pretty much retired. He's got a coder working for him, and a lot of automation in terms of trade setups and stuff. But yeah, I think he's got passions outside of it in the real estate space, and the philanthropy side of things. He still helps out with Traders for a Cause. He's usually there every year, and he helped put on that event out in Arizona. So he's still very much in the trading space, trading sphere. But yeah, I put the podcast links, part 1 and 2, in the chat there. If you guys haven't seen it yet, they were fun to film. That was like I think that was over 4 or 5 days to make those couple videos. We went to a baseball game, yeah, go-karting, skeet shooting. Second shot out, not to brag. Never touched a gun before, never even seen a gun. Bang! Second shot. Exploded that puppy. What else we got? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? XRTX, a little push, somebody says in the room. A little bit. Liquidity trap. So that little perk just put it on about 1, 2, 3 people's radar over in IU. That little perk we had a bunch of people mention. You get this little trend here. So this is probably why it's getting put on people's radar, that downtrend break, and then the prior day's highs. But still no volume, and I can't trade it anyways, this freaking thing. Will you put this live stream up on your channel? I hate the spread on it. Yeah. Yeah, the chart looks good. It would be something I would trade if it was a bit more liquid, but will this be something you put up on your channel? I can. I was just kind of using it as a test. Maybe, I don't think I'll put this one up. Maybe I'll do another one down the road. I'm gonna just save this one for myself and watch it back. To kind of see if there's any bugs or how the screen share works, swapping, like when I put on the scanner and then put on the chart. I'll probably just watch it back and see how it looked. If there was anything I had to fix for the next time. Tuned in late, so wanted. I'll catch the next one. Below trading. I think you commented a few times. Yeah, you put it on. You shouted me out on your YouTube, right? I believe. Over from Roland's room. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The, what do you call it? The production value of your videos looked a lot higher than mine. I just share my screen chat for 5 minutes and shut it off. You got like edits, you got different camera angles all around you. Looks like you got a full studio. Yeah, I just tuned in. If you tuned in late, I only been working with it for a week or two. Impressive. It looks like you've got some tech experience. But yeah, I could leave it up for maybe a day or two. I don't know. If I had a bunch of screw ups and if stuff didn't turn out well, I wasn't gonna leave it up there. But I could leave it on for a few days or over the weekend or whatever. I was talking with this guy. Let me see here. What was his name? God, it was hilarious. His name was... he changed his name. It's just got the letter N now. But he was asking me, just got proper addicted for a week. Yeah. There was this guy, he asked me what I was using to record my stuff. And I just have like my computer camera and then this mic. And then I started using different streaming software. I was just using, I run Mac for everything. So I was just using the built-in screen record software. And then it had its limitations where I couldn't put my face in the corner and I couldn't share portions of screens and whatever. So I moved from that and I tried Restream. That was the software I had used to do like the Sunday scans for IU and the interviews and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm used to this. Let me give it a try. And then that one, it had like watermarks unless you paid for it. And what else? It was there was like layouts, but you couldn't customize the layouts. It was like you had to pick one. So then I switched. Now I'm on OBS. I heard some people mentioning OBS and Camtasia, so I thought I'd try OBS next. And it's turned out pretty nice. Like the video quality, like the actual screen is a lot clearer. My mic sound, I believe, got a lot clearer. It started picking it up a bit better, where you could actually like toggle adjust stuff. So this one guy asked me, he said, what software are you using? So I went through the whole rundown with him, and he says, what did he say? He said, I'm an architect and a dog trainer. And I was baffled. How does an architect get into training dogs? And his response was just, long story, don't ask. So I didn't dig any deeper into it, but I thought that was funny. The temperature had picked up here. GM, what's going on? The temperature had picked up here over the summer. And I was out walking my Bernese mountain dog. She's got a lot of black on her, some brown and white, but a lot of black. And I was walking through the sun. I had one of those little portable water bottles for the dogs. You can like a little dish. It hangs off the leash, but you can fill it up and stuff. So we were walking around. I was trying to stay in the shade of the trees as much as possible. She was panting, so I stopped, gave her some water. She laid down for a little bit, and this guy walks by and he goes, hot out here, isn't it? And it's some old guy. You can always, like those little senior citizens, they walking all frail, and they never mean anything by it. And he goes, oh, it's hot out here, isn't it? He starts talking about the weather and just sparking a conversation. And he goes to leave, and he says, can't be black in this weather. And I just double over laughing. And he was such an innocent old man. He didn't mean anything by it. He was just referring to the dog. But that's not how I took it, and I couldn't keep it in. I laughed, and he just walked away. He didn't say another word. He kept walking. BOF is hitting some price alerts again, perking back over $3. I drew this trend line here along these higher lows, and then I found it interesting on my watch list last night. I just extended it to this dip low, and then it ended up happening right here again where you get that washout, and that was the dip low again. So this seems like a fairly key trend line. That if I am looking to join this, it would probably be towards this. So far, the trend kind of lines up with the prior breakout level on the daily in this 270 range right here, where prior resistance is now becoming support. So this one's definitely still on watch here tomorrow, and maybe even next week if it still wants to consolidate, but this overnight didn't work, but I didn't hold it overnight. But this breakout worked, so it has a history of decent continuation, so I'm going to be looking for this 350, 360 area, set some more price alerts higher. But I could see myself putting on an early entry here tomorrow. Only half hour left in the day into close, so I won't put a position on here right now, but I'll be looking for dips tomorrow, maybe dips along trend, get a tight risk reward on a starter, something super small, and then give me room to scale once that 360 and $4 range starts to break. SPY. Man, Nate's haircuts never fail. Jeez. Cody bought some puts on Nate's haircut. Hilarious. How long you stay in trade? If you can give me like a specific example, it might be a bit easier for me to answer. I had gone over like a couple losses that I had this morning, like CNFR, where I was in this, a starter right here around 8, and then ads here off open and cut it, so about an hour and a half on that. Something like BOF, I was in this for like a day and a half, like an entry over here through 220s, scale through the breakout level, rebought some into close and sold over here, so that one's like a day and a half. But anywhere from like UPC was like a China pump I had, where it was kind of trading similar to Clue and EJH. It was the same pumpers on it, so I had caught this big red day, and I was in this thing for like a few weeks swinging it. So yeah, it kind of all depends with the trade at hand. When I'm getting into like big picture long trades like BOF, I guess the best way to answer that would be the thesis that I go into the trade with. If I'm looking for a bouncing ball, low a day break, like trend join filled fall through momentum setup, where it's like breaking down on the daily and then starting to test that intraday, I'm looking to join that trend and cover on the next flush. So that could be like a 15-20 minute trade. BOF, if I'm going to let this thing work, it doesn't have to go today, it doesn't have to go tomorrow, but maybe next week sometime I could see this thing making a move. Could be tomorrow, but it doesn't have to go tomorrow. So I could see, like, if I put an early entry on this, I could see myself sitting in this for 3 or 4 days. So how long I stay in it for would be a question for what my thesis is at the given moment. So BOF, no position right now. If I put a position on, it would be a plan to hold it for a few days. Something like IVP, this afternoon breakout setup, I would be looking to sell at least half into close, and if I like the way it closed, potentially swing some for the next day. Yeah, I think that answers it. Well, I think that just about wraps up everything I really wanted to talk about and test for this little thing here into close. I don't know how long we were on for. How long? I don't know how to tell. Oh, 44 minutes. What about APLD today? Yeah, I didn't place any trades on APLD today. That's that day one gapper. I tend to avoid day ones and look for some sort of setup coming down the line. So this one, like if you drew a line here, right at 510, unfortunately, I think we're running out of time here into close. We've only got half an hour. But this 510 line has held now since 10:30, and it's now 3:30. So it's been 5 hours that 510 level has held. More times it knocks on that door, the more likely it is to break down. So something like APLD, if I was gonna, I wouldn't trade it now, just given that we only have half an hour here into close. I think we'd run out of time for the trade to actually work. But if this was going into like 2 p.m. and we got this 510 breakdown, you get that flush below it and a retest of 510. I'd be looking for a half hour, 45-minute trade, something like that, for a failed follow through setup. But yeah, nothing I'm really looking to trade right now. I'd be hoping for a higher the better daily, let it go on a multi-day run, and get a first red day type setup down the road. Below trading, you take any trades today? I saw you put out that trade review yesterday, a couple of days ago, something like that. Wait for the breakdown to happen to get in. Yeah, with failed fall through momentum setups, like FFIE this morning, I think is prime example, because I have some trades on it. So start off here, looking left. I went over this at the beginning, but you might not have seen it. So looking left, you've got this prior top here. So pre-market, when it goes straight up right back into that level, this is a starting point for some people, but I didn't have any borrows on, so I'm frantically typing into the locate window, trying to get some borrows, find the cheapest ones. Center point had some for, where are we here? 1 cent a share, 1 cent, 1 cent? Yeah, 1 cent a share. So once I got them, I let it flush. So now this is the key level here. 620s is the same 510 level as was APLD, I think it was. So I'd be looking for it to flush, retest, and then that's my entry once it confirms failed fall through. So something like APLD, if you zoom out, going into the afternoon, increase the time frames. So if 510 were to fail, I think shorts would hammer in, longs would stop out. But you don't know if this whole thing was like a buy-in, if this is longs just adding on the whole way up. So that 510 break could be shorts hitting it, longs stopping out, and if it doesn't go any lower, there could be a big buyer that's been soaking this thing up all day that could absorb all that size and reclaim it. So until you see a retest of that 510 and prove it failed to follow through, and then act as a top on the next pops, you don't know if it's going to continue to roll over. So yeah, I would wait for it to break, retest and fail again, and then look for a trend join versus that 510's over under as a guide. That makes sense. IVP from below. Yeah, I had mentioned that one at the beginning of the video. Because I had thought about this little afternoon flag here. I didn't like how harsh those pulls were off of each high day test, so I didn't really trust it to continue higher, very easily at least. So I didn't take this trade here through the highs, but nice little setup. For sure, Rainer, no problem. Yeah, I'll wait for it to become resistance. Exactly. Prior support, becoming resistance. Oh, damn, East offering. $1. Sick. Small offering. 400,000 shares at $1. That's tiny. God, what was that one? Was it ATP? What was it? It's a 3-letter ticker. They put out a small offering midday. It tanked the stock. ITP? God, I can't remember. I think it was a 3-letter ticker. You guys might remember. No, it wasn't that one. It was probably a month ago or so. month, maybe 2 months ago. They put an offering midday, and it was priced at around $1, but the size was so small. IVP, yeah, yeah. They had priced it so small that shorts were hammering into it. It was a day one gapper, and they priced it right around $1, I believe. And it got that flush, the immediate reaction off the offering news, and then it ground back all day. And it was such a funky breakout. Man, I don't remember the name. It'll come to me. I'll do some digging. I believe it was a 3-letter ticker because it went on a multi-day run. Might take me too long to find it. It was Mullen, you think? Well, it doesn't ring a bell. I thought it was a 3-letter ticker. Doesn't ring a bell. Rainer, do you also go long? Yeah, I think I'm about like 63% long, 47% short, or 37% short. Something like, yeah, 63 and 37, somewhere around there. I'm right around 60-40, long side to short side. It was fairly close to 50-50 for the first little while. But yeah, I do go long fairly often. I've still got the chat up. If you guys mention anything, I will see it, but I'm just trying to look through my history here. Let me pull up my... One sec. This is bugging me now. Now it's personal. Now I need to find it. Nice, I'm just starting out looking to set up my TWS. I've never used... Well, I did use Trader Workstation, and once I started adding more charts, once I was more active, the Trader Workstation started bogging down. Cosm, let me look. Once I started using the Trader Workstation, it started bogging down when I added too many tickers and stuff on Watch. I don't think it was Cosm either. Give me a minute. I'll find it. I'm going to keep looking. But I'll keep talking here. Yeah, so I had like 1 or 2 charts and it was fine. And then I had a noticeable lag of like 5 or 6 seconds. But Interactive Brokers is compatible with Dash Trader. So once I became more active and less swing trading, then I switched over to DAS as my main platform. I still used IB for a little while, but now I'm over at Centerpoint. I'm wondering if it was... Was it IVP? Was it? Was it this name? That's what I've got it at. I think it was IVP. Oh my god. Ramon got it. I thought he was asking a question like as I was talking about it, but I think he was answering my question. I think it was IVP. That's what I've got. It was back in here, right in the beginning of July. That is the perk to tracking all your trades. So let me look. If I go back here to the beginning of July, because this was a funky breakout. I remember trading the multi-day breakout on this. I think it was right here. I think it was that one. Let me make sure. No, it was right here. There it is. This was the offering right here, priced around $1. So this was on 7/8. So I'll go back to the daily chart. Okay, I'll go back to the daily chart after. But this was the fade, the offering, and it was fairly small, and it was priced lower than market price, but it was fairly small, and it ground back all day. And then, if I zoom out, the next day, right here. So this was the breakout day that I traded. Because you got this big fade, the offering slammed it, and then it grinds all the way back the rest of the day. Given this is a different time, so I'm not saying East is going to do this. I just triggered a thought because East is so small, such a small offering, 400,000 shares. But then the next day, it's holding above per day's VWAP, which is the average price of the trade. So that's where the average long, average short is. So then it's holding over this. So I had joined this and was swinging this for a few days. And that's when we got the parabolic, because shorts are trapped from slamming in, fighting it, thinking we made it through the worst of it after hours. And then it holds. That was a really good swing trade for me those days. I'm in Europe, so not much choice, and DAS is over my budget. Yeah, fair enough. That was when what I was using Trader Workstation as well, just because DAS was too expensive at one point. But once you make bank, stank bank, Rainer, I'm sure you will. You're going to make stank bank on Trader Workstation, and then you're going to, DAS. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. This was the offering day right here, right gap up into prior resistance, and then it goes on that big multi-day run. So East, if shorts slam into this offering and it stops going down, then how do they get out? I'm not buying it, just to be clear. But it just jogged my memory. That's all. Not bad. We had a decent turnout of people here today, so viewers stayed fairly consistent, so I'm happy with that. Means I was mildly entertaining. Hoth is still coming back, so now this one's not closing below its open anymore, so no longer a doji day one setup, but now a watch for tomorrow as it's holding up, and looks like it might close above VWAP. We'll see. Anything else anyone wants to touch on before I sign off? We're getting into market close here, so I'm going to start wrapping up, and once the bell rings, I'll do a final nightly scan and get that video out as well. But if there's anything anyone wants to touch on, any comments, feedback, things I sucked at, I'm all ears. For sure, no problem. it stopped me from pushing buttons here into close when there was nothing really ideal anyways. Yeah, no problem, you guys. Now for that moment of figuring out how to end the stream, but bear with me. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Get in where you fit in and make some memories, and I'll see you guys on the watch list.